When my father found out that my mother was pregnant with me, he didn't want her to carry out the pregnancy. Well, back then, abortion wasn't like it is today. My mother went through 9 months of being beaten daily while she was pregnant with me. My mother went ahead and went to the emergency room and delivered me on her own in October of 1968. The day my mother brought me home from the hospital, my father continued to beat and abuse my mother. As we grew up, we were made to wake up and watch our father physically assault our mother. As a young child, my father would wake me up and tell me and ask me if I was happy that what I was witnessing was my fault. It took me a long time to understand that what I witnessed and watched wasn't my fault. As I grew up, I remember countless beatings. We would pull up into the yard and my mother would just be black and blue and bleeding all over from my father's abuse. Then my father began to beat us. When I was 7 years old, my father broke my arm. He gave me black eyes and I had to go to school. The school didn't intercept that. It was okay. Nobody cared. I went through so many things as a child that I decided that I would never, ever allow anyone to hurt me again. When I was 12 years old, my father came into our home and he started beating my mother. My mother laid lifeless on the floor. My brother, who is 3 years older than I am, stabbed my brother with a pair of scissors. My father started assaulting my brother. My sister and I started kicking and hitting our father, and the police finally came. That was the last time that I had to have any interaction with my father. My father passed away in July of this year. It had been 18 years since I had seen him. To this day, I don't know if my father ever realized I was his or not. It's still very hard for me to understand how anyone could take out something on a child or a mother or their children because they're angry and bitter and upset. In October, as Stacy said, I felt it laid heavily on my heart that as God wanted me to share my story. I have a long testimony from life and choices that I've made. I've made several decisions that I'm not proud of, but I am proud of the woman that I am today as I stand here before you because my testimony is unique and it is mine, and it is all driven from the things that I saw as a child. My encouragement to you is this: don't ever be a victim. You have to be strong enough if you are living in those circumstances to walk away. My mother had no other means of taking care of us. My mother married 7 times. 5 of the men my mother married physically assaulted my mother or myself. I was molested when I was 13, so my innocence has never been there for me. From the day I came home from the hospital, I have been the victim of abuse. When I met my husband when I was 17 years old, it was the greatest blessing that God could ever give me because I met a man that loved me for me. He's never hit me, and he's never touched me. For a long time, I didn't understand why my husband wouldn't hit me. I would hit my husband. I ran over his golf clubs in our driveway. I would beg him to hit me because to me, that was the way a woman was supposed to be treated. By the grace of God, I have learned that no, the way my husband treats me is the way we all deserve to be treated. Our marriage hasn't been perfect, but I have been blessed with nothing but love and adoration from my husband. And I encourage you all to know that don't hit your children and don't take out your anger on anyone. Give it to God.